Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome. This is our last wine and wildlife, wild dog besotted chat for the year. And I'm absolutely delighted to welcome Marnus Roodbol this evening. You know, he's smiling because I don't know whether I got it pronounced it quite right. Marnus is a very interesting man who has a fascinating job. Endangered Wolf Wines have partnered with the Endangered Wildlife Trust now for, I'm going to say, more than 15 years, and we've been involved with all sorts of different EWT projects in addition to helping with fund wild dog projects. We've done some stuff with cranes and various other bits and bobs, but actually we haven't done anything to do with funding lions, I'm afraid. So we did have a chat about some sort of a possibility at some stage, but if it takes any of your fancy, I'm sure Marnus's project could do with a few bucks. So you can drop in and share some money with him. And this evening as well, I mean, normally we taste a wine this evening, and actually what we've got this evening is we have some Chenin Blanc, a very nice Chenin Blanc. So I hope that it's the Painted Wolf Blackback Chenin Blanc, and as we go along in the evening, we'll have a little chat about that. So Marnus, where are you from?
Thanks, Jeremy. Nice to be here, part of everybody. I like to start off with a cheers, or you guys see my camera? Oh, there we go. Cheers to you guys. So born and raised South Africa, currently residing in Hoedspruit, South Africa, Limpopo province. Actually been all over the place with lion stuff, but basically I think we'll get into that hopefully later on. But at the moment, residing in Hoedspruit next to the Kruger National Park.
And I mean, what was your conservation journey?
How much time do we have?
You got 5 minutes on this one because you have a lot more to tell us about.
Okay, no, good. So actually, I took a long route around the conservation sector regarding university stuff like that. But in a nutshell, it started first as a field guide, and eventually I grew into that stage where I wanted to try and do something different, and then the conservation sector sort of got me going. And then I just went on my own. I started my own nonprofit for a couple of years, working predominantly online. Started working in areas. Luckily, I got some contracts in Kenya, in Mozambique, Kenya, Botswana, Namibia. And then luckily, I applied for a job with an EWT, with the Lions. I mean, Lions has been, I would say, probably close to 17 years of my career, following that completely, which has been great.
You don't look as though you've had a career for 17 years.
Well, actually, it's
or does all the anxiety that lions bring keep you frisky and young looking?
Well, I appreciate that, but I see we might have one of my colleagues, Alison, online, and I think she might differ. No, actually, it's field guiding was about 5 years, and lion conservation together was 17.
Okay.
Just about, yeah.
So you sort of jumped straight from being a field guide into setting up your own non-profit.
Yeah, it was a not non-profit organization, but non-profit company, very similar to that. So that entailed raising funds myself, doing the reports myself, field work myself. It was a lot of work.
That's really a lot of work. And in my experience with having talked to lots and lots and lots of conservation practitioners over the years and interacting with all kinds of people in different fields, it's not always easy to be a successful field biologist and a good fundraiser. They're a different thing.
100%. And I think when you start, it's almost like a one-man show, if you want to call it, becomes super tricky. Yes. 2 weeks, 3 weeks in the field, 2 weeks back on admin. But it's a journey I think you take and you learn a lot from it. And experience is what counts.
Well, you're very courageous to have done your own thing as the first jump into the conservation pool. But sometimes one has to do that because it's not terribly easy to break in.
No, exactly. And I think it's also about your name. It takes a very long time, and I still believe that I still have to not maintain. Sorry, you still have to work your way up the food chain. You know, there's so many amazing lion conservationists out there that, you know, in their mid 40s, late 50s, 60s, that, you know, typical legends. That not saying you compete with, but, you know, these guys have done amazing work. You know.
Yes.
And it's basically following them.
The food chain is an unfortunate analogy when it comes to lion conservation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But you know.
So just I'm curious now. I didn't know this about you. So what did you study at university?
Well, I actually studied to be in like nature conservation.
Right.
And then with nature conservation, I decided to go into the field guiding. I thought it was like when I was a kid growing up, I was like, wow, this is the best thing ever.
Well, it can be.
You know, yeah, no, it can be definitely. I think field guiding is it's very human linked, and there's a lot of passionate guides out there.
Yes.
But I think a few people online that might know me, I'm very people orientated, but I love my exclusivity with nature and just being on my own a lot of times. Yeah, which is not easy either.
I completely get that.
Yeah.
So anyway, you ran your own NGO and you worked in different countries, which it was also interesting because as a one-man show, one would normally just have one jurisdiction. I mean, you'd be a one-man show working in the Savi Conservancy in Zimbabwe, and you're there for 50 years. But to be a one-man show and do projects in different countries must have given you a lot of good insights, and also it's a different journey.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. You know, it's also the cultures that you're working with. It's one of the most fascinating things. But also most of my beginning work was all line survey based.
Right.
You know, counting lines in specific places.
Yes.
Yeah. And then I kind of I got to the stage where now it's super important. Again, it's counting lines. But then I got to the stage where you realize it's great to know how many lines there are, but are you going to actually focus on the bigger picture, which is in line conservation, human wildlife conflict?
Yes, I mean, it is, as you say, it is nice to know how many lines there are out there, but it's what actually you do with that information, and what the context is of those numbers, so anyway, before we get into the nitty gritty of your thing, I think we'll just have a quick little slurp of this wine. I hope that some of you out there, at least some of you, have got a glass of Chenin Blanc in your bottle, or a drop of Chenin Blanc in your glass. What am I? I haven't had a glass of wine yet, and I'm getting all tongue tied. It's not quite right. So just that, it's interesting. Your family heritage is Dutch, and this wine, the forebears of this wine were brought to South Africa as a consequence of the trading connections that the Dutch East India Company had, and it actually comes from the forebears of the grapes that are in this glass come from the central part of the Loire River in France, from a place called Saumur, and the Dutch East India Company had a spot there, and they used to trade salt. They used to take salt up the Loire River, and they used to trade salt for wine. And when they were ready to come out to South Africa, they sent deputations to places that they had commercial interests where they grew grapes, and this grape variety was recommended, and it came on the ship with Jan van Riebeeck. And what we have in the glass is a direct descendant of some of those vines. Over 300 and however many years it's been now, 360 years. these grapevines have been acclimated to the Cape, and now they grow very well in hot, dry conditions in the Cape. This wine in particular comes from an area to the west of Paarl, which is hot and low in rainfall and dry and a very extreme climate compared to where it comes from. But the interesting thing is that now our cuttings that have become acclimated to our soil and our place are being taken back to France to help vineyards in the region from where this came from deal with climate change and reduced rainfall and stuff like that. So that's a little backdrop of Chenin Blanc, and it's a totally delicious wine. Looks like that.
Yeah, it is very good.
Yeah, I think it's. So, how does it taste to you?
You're asking a guy who drinks
wine.
No, it's pretty good. I do enjoy it. It's actually quite very fruitful and not too heavy. It's very nice. Yeah, I enjoy it. Thank you very much. You guys sent us some nice presents this way. I appreciate that.
Fabulous. So yeah. we've had one or two guests who are considerably less erudite than you are about wine.
Oh, really? No, fair enough.
Anyway, so why lions? I mean, why did lions turn your light on? I mean, perhaps that's a flipping obvious question, but
Look, I think it's I mean, yeah, it's not an obvious question for a lot of people. My story has always been lions. It's an animal that scared me for like when I was a kid. Like it was a very, very scary animal, and and I just developed that passion for them over the years. Even when I was
this was all about confronting anxiety, was it?
No. It was more facing your fears and living your dreams, I suppose. Right. Yeah, and I think there was just I don't even know how that switched over. I just found them very interesting and fascinating, and then it just started developing more and more, and it became like an obsession.
Yes.
And with the obsession came the responsibility of proper conservation work. Yes. And that was always the big leap to take. And look, even now, I mean, I can tell you right now, with all the people that's online, if you are staying in a tent and you are in a tent with no fence around you, and you hear a lion roar, you tell me right now you're not going to get excited or a little bit edgy. Yeah. If there's no fence around you, trust me, there's two animals that do that for me. It's an elephant and a lion. Oh, yes. Sorry, and hippo.
Yes.
So yeah, it's about in a long story short, it's about preserving. Well, nowadays it's about we can't lose that sound, that feeling. It's super important. Yeah.
I mean, I have to say, a lion rumbling just outside your tent is one of the more awe-inspiring things that can possibly happen in one's life, and it's even more awe-inspiring when you actually walk into one in the middle of the night and stumble across one, which I'm sure you've done many times too.
Well, to be honest, luckily not on foot when I'm sleeping or wanting to leave the tent for a toilet break. Luckily, touch wood. Sorry, but we've had some very interesting encounters in a tent all over the world, like all over Africa, with lions.
So would you can you just give us a little bit of a breakdown? So you work for the Endangered Wildlife Trust, okay?
Yeah.
And the Endangered Wildlife Trust, just in case any of you who are listening don't know, I mean, it's probably the preeminent South African conservation organization and one of the great conservation organizations in the world. And they have many projects with covering all kinds of different things and a real broad spectrum of conservation things. But I think one of their key projects is their carnivore conservation project. Would you like to give us just a little bit of a background on that, and then a little bit of a background more specifically about what the Lion Project does, and then what your role is within that project?
Sure. Yeah. No, that's a fully loaded question. I appreciate that. I think the carnivore unit within EWT, it comes from 30, 40 years, if not even since the start of the organization over 50 years ago. I think the main, or as far as I remember, the main priority species at the time was cheetah. Still is very important, and eventually it evolved the carnivore project into wild dogs, the restoration, or not restoration, but moving the different animals around to prevent inbreeding in the fenced-off game reserves and so forth. And then the Lion Project, there came an opportunity recently, like recently 2019, for work to be done in the GLTFCA, which is the Greater Limpopo Transfrontier National Park, Kruger National Park, Limpopo, where opportunity came to actually do some lion conservation work, but also trying to work with partners on establishing the illegal wildlife trade routes that goes into Mozambique.
I mean, nobody actually really imagined that lions might be quite so endangered. You know, when it always used to be a thing, you go to the game reserve and you see lions, and they seem to be prolific and many, and but they have some very significant challenges.
Oh yeah, I mean, look, South Africa has probably one of the highest lion populations, but it's not free roaming. We have all the fenced-off game reserves, which they all have lions, and EWT is not involved in that movement of lions, you know, to prevent inbreeding that's going through individual, you know, what do you call it, reserves that, you know, talk to each other to try and diversify the genetics. But from a free roaming point of view, South Africa is one of the stronghold countries remaining. I think it's like 11 or 9 strongholds of the wild lion population, which is linked with Limpopo National Park. Yeah.
So which country has the most lions? Would it be Tanzania?
Oh, at the moment, yeah, I would say that they've got a pretty healthy or decent population, but again, it brings it, not brings it back. We haven't even started with that yet, but unfortunately, lions, the populations have declined significantly over the last, I would even say the last 10 years. It's been like, especially in Southern Africa, it's been crazy.
Would you like to give us an idea of what some of the real challenges are that lions are facing?
Well, the biggest threat at the moment is the poaching of body parts. There's a steep incline, increase towards, or the demand for body parts, whether it's local or whether it's international. I mean, it's kind of both. And we've seen already in the last couple of years, just in our area, how it's increased significantly. And then we speak to some of our partners as well in Botswana and those places, and they also see the same.
So that you mentioned that there's a local demand and an international demand. I think the international demand is well understood. There's a lion bone trade going to China, which is basically a substitution for tiger bones, which have become so difficult and so rare, and it's part of traditional Chinese pharmacology. But in the local context, how does that work? What's that all about?
So, you know, just to give you also some different context here, I might be shot down by some people, but the lion bone trade definitely was one of the little fires or matches that ignited quite a few things within the international trade. But I think from all the lion mortalities or whatever incidences we've seen, not just in the GLTFCA, all over the place, bones aren't being taken from lions. So it's mostly the claws, the teeth, the tip of the tail, and also the stomach fat.
So the stomach fat this is going into the Sangoma trade.
Well, it's not something I can actually confirm right now and say to you, yes, look, there's a demand for, you know, nails and teeth to go overseas internationally, but well, also,
you know, when I was a kid, I went to boarding school in Rhodesia, and you were seriously cool if you had a lion tooth or a lion claw pendant set in a piece of copper or a piece of silver that you slung around your neck. Yeah. But I know this is probably not where these are going.
Well, it is definitely going in some of that areas. It's definitely going that side internationally wise. Local wise, it's either filtered through the system, sold as, part of the canned line hunting. I mean, it's very difficult to also manage that where products are being farmed. I know there's a big stuff occurring at the moment regarding the canned line hunting, which, honest to God, my knowledge regarding that is very limited. So I won't even go into that. But there's more things that's important, like the stomach fat, between the diaphragms that's being used, the diaphragm and the stomach that's used locally. And that's, we can go into the stomach fats being used for poachers or people that rub it on their faces, for example. They feel like they're invincible. Another one is, we recently heard the stomach fat's dried out, and then the dried out stomach fat is made into a bracelet. And then a lot of, wouldn't say, well, some people wear it as part of, it gives them strength when and wealth, and they hide it like in their clothes, long sleeves. So I think that illegal wildlife trade, even though there's a lot of knowledge around it, I think there's a big gap that we need to explore very quickly, because that is driving for a very big driving factor. Yeah.
So I would imagine that the use of lion products in the manner that you've just described isn't new. It must be something that, I'm just supposing, something that is historical, but the increase in prosperity makes it available to more people. I'm just assuming, and I don't really know, but I'm just thinking in the way that rhino products are used and other, that there's just more people who can afford it. And but I mean I had never heard of the I mean I do understand, I know of lion skins, and I know about claws and things, but the strange thing of cutting off lions' paws and I mean it's I know we didn't want to go down onto this road.
No, we can. Just hope everybody else is drinking wine.
Right. But yeah, I mean it's a really interesting. I'm sure there's a sort of a whole kind of socio-anthropological side to this whole thing that probably does need to be explored by somebody that's comes from a different space to the regular conservation space, because it's about something else other than just whether or not lions. I mean, one understands that a lion that's I mean that crosses into a kraal and kills a cow, then you understand how. But this sort of ritual stuff that's a very different space.
Yeah, look, there we're touching a topic that I can discuss hours. But it's fascinating in different cultures, like the Maasai, the Setswana and Botswana, the San people from Namibia that I've worked with, even the Shangaan people within Mozambique. Everybody has different visions, or not visions, sorry, usage of specific animal products.
Yes.
The Maasai used to have, as we all know, it was more of a ritual for them into going into the becoming a man. That's also changed now. But the whole trade at the moment regarding the actual body parts, I mean, we're not even talking about skin being taken.
Yes.
We are talking just about teeth, claws, and stomach fat, and if they get a chance, the tail.
Yes.
So that's something we need to start focusing on as a
Yes.
whole.
Yes.
I think it's crucial, going forward.
Yes. Yes. I mean, it's something that these different to something that requires a different academic process to work with, and then when one understands it, where is the solution? Because everything that one needs to do needs solutions.
Yeah, no, look, yeah, that again, it becomes a very complex area that you have to focus on. And so my biggest thing I think that one should start focusing on right now is on actually doing proper community surveys. And I know there's community fatigue within a lot of places, but for example, western boundary of Kruger National Park, the eastern boundary of Limpopo National Park will be complete opposites. Their responses towards lions, but also I think it's very crucial to remember that not every person in the community is a poacher.
Indeed, by a lot, with it. In fact, it's few. I mean, there's definitely
only like small
bushmeat.
percent.
There's definitely bushmeat hunting, and that's commonplace. I mean, I went to Honey Guide recently, and the man who drove us, who grew up just outside Honey Guide, he told me when he was a child, they used to go into Kruger Park with their dogs, and they used to and they used to go and run down Impala, and that's, I mean, that's part of their culture. I mean, he's Tsonga, he's a Shangaan. I mean, that's part of their. I mean, nobody wants anybody to go to Kruger Park and hunt anything with anything at all. But that's a different thing. It's a little low scale subsistence bushmeat harvesting compared to what we're talking about now. It's a different deal. So, but and it's, I mean, it's interesting what you say as well about the whoever lives around the boundary of the park, because you're not dealing with a single homogenized type of person. If you're in the southern part of the Kruger Park, the people speak Siswati, and then up in the north, it's well, depending on how far north you go, there's Venda people. They're all different, and they've got different things that they do, and different things that's part of their tradition. And then Mozambique is so. I mean, so I'm actually talking, and I'm supposed to be asking you questions, but I'm actually, but we're having like a free flowing discussion. But
no, all good.
Yeah. So getting communities involved is so important, but there isn't a one-stop shop.
No, there's not. And look, there's always going to be that historical preference by a lot of people within the community for bushmeat. I mean, that's where they grew up with. That's something that they prefer over, it could be also, I actually spoke to someone yesterday. It is actually, depending on what kind of meat it is cheaper than what you would have with even KFC and buying meat at Spa or whatnot. So you always have these things. But I mean, again, we can go to, you can't compare, not that we are, but we can't compare Botswana to South Africa. And you can't compare South Africa to Mozambique. I mean, Mozambique.
Everywhere is different, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the poverty levels is significantly different. I mean, Botswana, as we know, is probably one of the most well supported by government, the people that side.
Yes.
South Africa, we have one of the lowest employment rates, so people need to figure out a way how to make money. Mm-hmm. And if there's a demand, they'll do it. And even the westernized people, we've also exploited a lot of these demands, whether it's for diamonds or whether it is for gold. So I'm bringing that back now. I'm not going to get too much in that, but we need to keep a level head as to every single person. Yeah.
So we're having a big old political conversation. Let's actually let's move the needle. Boom. We're done with that. Sorry, guys. We're done with that. Marnus needs another sip of wine, and then we'll set back into a different space. So, what does your day look like when you go out when you go out into the bush? What does your day look like?
That's a great question. A good segue to go from intense conversations to this. It really all depends I mean, I'm currently the Lion Project Manager at EWT, so things have changed significantly regarding field work. But generally speaking, field work entails following up on lions that's on collar, looking at the pride dynamics to see who's still with the pride, are they fragmented, did they split up? If they did, why? And then, just literally following up on them. And then also we do a lot of surveying, in the Northern Kruger and Central Kruger surveying lions. We finished one in 2023, 2024, and as recent as 2025 in the Kalahari, where one of my colleagues actually led the Kalahari thing, survey over a 3-month period, which is actually phenomenal. So there's multiple areas that we're working on. Then there's also, supporting sandparks with whatever they need regarding, where potential lions might be endangered, and then, or not endangered and threat, and then this Kruger Park actually send the rangers out. Yeah.
So can you give us an idea of how it works with regard to how is the level of threat established? What is the response to that threat? How does it all work? If one of your lions has a collar around its neck and it goes to a specific area, so it's just outside the Letaba Ranch, for argument's sake. What's the response? How do you deal with that? And maybe you can give a little bit of a background about what the Letaba Ranch is, so that people understand where the context might be for a danger for a lion.
Letaba Ranch, this is one of the areas that's opened with Kruger National Park on the western boundary. It's an area that's about 45,000 hectares. It's not managed by national parks, but again, with capacity levels, funding, it becomes a difficult, tricky scenario. Everything needs funding. Ranges, uniforms, fuel, everything. So anyway, it's one of the areas. It's not just the main area, but when lions move into a specific area that's already been identified by historical data that we've collected from GPS collars, poaching incidents, poisoning incidents, then you would almost assume that when a lion on collar is moving in the area, you need to be on high alert. So we've developed various algorithms with the African wildlife tracking on the lion collars. So to give you an example, when a lion is moving over 5 kilometers in a straight line, or in a very short time period at nighttime, we get an alert on a WhatsApp saying, listen, this line has moved. It's a B line meaning straight movement. So something that's pulling it. Whether it's other lions calling, whether it is an animal in a snare, or whether it's them discovering territories, we get alerts. So next morning, we can actually open up the app and have a look and see, okay, this line triggered. Then we also have, designed with them clusters. So when a lion is forming a cluster, meaning it stays in the same spot for several GPS points taken with a satellite. And then it's like, okay, maybe we should take a closer look at this. And then also there is speed anomalies we look at.
When it's in a cluster, it doesn't necessarily mean it's alive. Could be dead.
No. So we definitely have, when a lion collar is being tampered with, then we get an immediate WhatsApp saying it's been cut. Yes. Regardless whether it's in signal that automatically transmits. When a lion is not moving, depending on the amount of time, so we normally put collars on X amount of time period, saying we want the collars to transmit. I'm not going to say it because we're online, but we want the lion's collars to transmit X time period every day. Yes. So once a lion shows no movement, it actually picks it up. It gives you an alert saying no movement.
Really?
Then we adjust the collar.
So what's the ideal number of collars to have in a pride of lions?
Depending on the pride size, but it's normally just we take 2 females if it's a big pride, 2 adult females. Yes. If it's a pride that's 4 or 5, we just put 1.
So is there? So we're touching on human-induced threats and risks. But what about things like distemper and rabies and other pathogens that I mean, I'm much more familiar with them from the wild dog space, but they're a huge deal with African wild dogs. Is it the same with lions?
Lions are more prone to anthrax, if I have to be honest. And
Anthrax is the big one, huh?
yeah, for lion, especially the last two, even like I would say 3 years, with the varied temperatures, the drought, and so forth. So, yeah, that is not a massive, large scale.
Yes.
It contributes to a small amount.
Yeah. So if a lion feeds on a carcass that's died from anthrax, will they get anthrax?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
I'm saying yeah, but there's most of the times it's a very high probability.
yes.
Okay, so I mean, you're looking at if a lion feeds on a poison carcass, is it going to die? A lace carcass with poison, depending on how much poison was being put on there, and also if it has taken enough in.
Yeah,
we
and
have
the type of poison, obviously.
Yeah. But I mean, we have seen lions that not lions plural, lion that did ingest poison, but only succumbed a day and a half later and moved quite far.
Terrible.
So yeah, it all depends.
Terrible. That would be something like strychnine. That would be a slow working poison.
Well, again, it depends on how much they put on. I mean, Temic is very, very intense. Carbofuran that's used on the agricultural farms is pretty intense. Normally, it's at the moment, wherever it is done, depending, it seems like it's being put quite a large amount on a small carcass. It's very fast acting. We're looking at an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. Yeah.
So I know we didn't want to really go into the whole thing with poisoning, but you've started it. You've opened.
Oh no, it's a light. No, look, it's something that's happening all over Africa.
Yes.
So I'm not centralizing it into one area. It's all over.
So I mean, there's a classic case. So there was a African wild dog introduction into Luwandi National Park in Malawi about 10 years ago, and it was a very fraught and frantic thing because the wild dogs were supposed to move on the day that was the day that the Jacob Zuma shit show took place and they were turned around and put back into the boma, and new permits had to come. It was a huge story. And anyway, I think Luwandi National Park was supposed to get 8, but by the time the 8 dogs were loaded, the alpha female of the pack was pregnant. So she arrived in Malawi and produced 12 puppies, and 8 became 20, and Luwandi National Park doesn't have very many lions, so the wild dogs all grew and stuff. But anyway, they were all poisoned.
Oh wow!
And yeah, there was it was an unintentional poisoning. I mean, it was cycling back to what we were talking about earlier about impoverished and poor people harvesting wildlife, and a well was poisoned where things like little waxbills and tiny little creatures went to drink. And I think the intention that the poisoners had was to harvest these small creatures that came down, or in fact anything that came down, but they ended up with 16 dead wild dogs.
Sure, that's a big number.
Yeah, which they then buried under the ground, and it took some time to find the carcasses. But I mean, this poisoning stuff is just a nightmare. It's a terrible scourge.
Yeah, look, it's unforgiving, the poisoning. I mean, we've had multiple vulture incidents in the GLTFCA over the last couple of years. We're looking at 180 vultures not so long ago. Luckily, a few of them were able to, were saved.
That was a very good Endangered Wildlife Trust story.
Yeah.
So I mean, you have more info on it than I do, but there was a significant poisoning incident, and they were able to respond very quickly and save a significant number of vultures.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, look, I'm not gonna beat around the bush and say, we did what we could, and we did a lot of good work. But sandparks, they came with the chopper immediately, and they flew most of the birds, live birds. They flew them to the pickup point. Yeah, no, South African parks were on it. They were superb.
So there's often an impression, or sometimes an impression, that sandparks are somehow not up to the game, but they really do a lot of wonderful things.
Oh yeah, no, look, yeah, that's unfortunately, if that's the case, when people say that, it's quite sad. It's not an easy task to be sandparks.
Indeed.
No, it's super difficult.
Indeed.
And especially in Kruger National Parks. I mean, sandparks is big, eh? We're looking at Marakele, you're looking at Kalahari, Adder Elephant. There's a lot of parks, eh? And normally when people talk about sandparks, it's like Kruger National Park. And I tell you right now, take my hat off to all those people. I mean, they are a constant, workforce.
There are thousands and thousands of conservation challenges that they have to deal with. And scenarios and people and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people using the facilities anyway, blah blah blah. So I'm going to go back to script now.
Yeah. Okay, I'll have a sip of the wine.
You better have some more wine. Okay. So I think we actually didn't really drill down. We sort of got into it a bit, but we didn't really drill down on all of the challenges that lions face in South Africa and in Southern Africa as a whole. I mean, we've talked a little bit about poisoning, but there are many, many more challenges that lions face. Can you give us a sort of overview from your perspective of what they are, please?
Well, look, to be honest, the first issue they had is space.
Yes.
People encroaching on their space, on their territories. Historically, I mean, they've lost probably close to 60% of their historical range, if not more, in the last 50 years. So, human encroachment, I mean, that's a huge factor. Humans encroaching, that definitely increases human-wildlife conflict. Human-wildlife conflict increases mortality rates. So that's a big factor. And also
mortality rates in lions and people, mostly in lions.
Mostly lions. Yeah. And I also wanted to get back to a point you were saying earlier about, a lot of the times it is the, impoverished people that go to extreme lengths of using chemicals to eradicate animals like lions. But to be honest with you, I've worked in areas where there's commercial farmers.
Yeah, commercial farmers can be big poisoners as well. I mean, the karoo with jackals. I mean, you can have done a BSc in agriculture at Stellenbosch University and still be a poisoning flipping nightmare.
Yeah. So it's not just a specific status group, but to get back to your question was, I think also prey depletion is quite a big factor. Prey depletion due to the demand in bushmeat trade. Lions also, they need to expand the areas. They need to move, especially your male lions and nomadics. And when prey declines, your lion population will decline, unfortunately. So I think the reduced space, I know for a fact the reduced space, encroachment of humans has had a significant impact. It's even the last 25 years.
So the population of Africa is just burgeoning, and trying to find the sweet spot between conserving natural habitat and conserving space for iconic creatures and allowing people to be able to just make a living. I mean, not even just prosper, make a living. It's very difficult. I mean, there's an ongoing issue, and I don't know whether you are aware of it, around Kasungu National Park in Malawi. So Kasungu National,
No. Yeah, I know the area.
yeah. So Kasungu National Park was traditionally a wilderness area, and when I was a child, it was a national park, and I think it was picked over by poachers. I don't think it was. You know, I think there were issues, but the population around the park has just burgeoned over the years, and the consequence of it is that there are ongoing issues with elephants and with predators killing people's cattle, and very, very poor and very impoverished people. But they went from, I don't know, from, I'm going to say 100,000 to 500,000 people over a 50-year period or a 70-year period, whatever it is, and there's just no space for the wildlife any longer, and
Yeah.
I mean, it's so difficult to get the balance.
Yeah, look, to be honest, I don't think we're going to get the balance.
Yeah,
I'm not going too deep.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to get the balance unless there's another huge
balance.
outbreak.
Yes.
Yeah. No, look, you know, I think I can come across sometimes as very, wouldn't say negative, but I've just seen a lot of realities regarding the specific issues we're talking about, and we need to adapt as conservationists as well. The old systems, the old ways of how we've done it with regarding line monitoring or carnivore stuff. And also we always have this this factor of community engagement.
Yes.
I think that's also past. And this is not EWT, this is my opinion. I think we need to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've taken the fifth on this.
No, yeah. Look, it's just it's super important to work with communities.
Yes.
You know, engaging them on a mutual level and saying, okay, this is the problem. Where can we assist you? Not in monetary values and stuff like that, but you know, the whole thing. I just feel like it's very important that, look, the future for me in conservation is community taking them forward with it, and the community needs to benefit from it. There's no way. If you look at Tanzania, if you look at Kenya, Zambia, those places where people really do struggle, you know, we're talking about from everything from housing to food availability. You know, when these people are sleeping, like in Tanzania and northern Malawi, northern Mozambique, when they're sleeping in the fields to protect their crop from elephants and bush pigs, that's a different level, you know. So that is, for them, the main priority is saving their food. And I think that's something that a lot of NGOs need to start going into as well. Like there has been already, but you know, I'm talking about engaging in a complete different level. What that level is yet, I don't even know. And I'm not going to pretend like I know.
But you know, I mean, we're having a very free flowing conversation about lots of things. But people, the needs of people need to be recognized and acknowledged. And although the population is burgeoning, you can't blame a single individual or 10 individuals or 100 individuals for the fact that the population has gotten out of control. There's so many different factors about it. And the models for all conservation going forward needs to address the fact that there are these people, and alleviating, I mean, conflict between predators and people's livestock is a real thing. I mean, we had Peter Apps as a guest a little while ago. Do you know him?
Yeah. Yes.
So with his Bioboundaries project, we've had a lot of really cool guests on this. We've had a lot of cool guests on this show.
Very cool.
I'm delighted you're here too.
Oh, thank you.
So Peter was talking about his Bioboundaries project, which is a very interesting project, and all of the podcasts are going to be put onto our website, or they are, and chat with Peter was absolutely enlightening, as is this chat with you. But a lot of the stuff comes back to some of the same themes. And I mean you're doing incredible work, and it's really, really interesting. You haven't actually told us enough about it because we got distracted. But many of the themes that everybody that talks about are similar.
Yeah.
You know, the sort of existential themes that govern the possibilities of making sure that in 50 years' time or 100 years' time, there's a sustainable lion population.
Yeah.
So
sorry, are you waiting for me to answer there?
yeah, I want
No,
you to chip in. I need you to I've talked a lot. You need to say something
No,
now.
look, I think, you know, especially, okay, lions is very complex, believe it or not. It cannot be, like a lot of times people might think it's not, but it is. They breed super fast, you know.
Yes.
They are immune to just about most of the diseases and so forth. So, you know, it doesn't take a lot for a lion population to bounce back over a 5 to 10 year period, you know.
Yes.
So it's about, okay, you're going to reach your carrying capacity if you do try and protect them. I know Malawi is involved with so many things. And what's it, reserve in the south of Blantyre?
Majeti.
Majeti, the lion population. When I was in that section, I was at Nsanji many years ago, south of that area. They reintroduced lions for the first time. Now the population is
out of control.
Out of control. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's all about management and well, management of lions, unfortunately. And when you still have your free roaming lions, you know, like in Namibia, for example, the desert lions, it's amazing, but there's only so many they can increase.
So are there free roaming lions in South Africa?
Yeah. And the Kruger National Park.
I mean, those the sort of escapees from the Kruger. What about up in Limpopo?
Limpopo province or Limpopo National Park?
Limpopo province.
No. There's too many fences around here. Once lions get out, or once lions move between, you know, from one of the private game reserves to another, the breakout is very fast. It's one of the most interesting things I found, being a third world country in South Africa compared to a third world country as Malawi or Mozambique. There's a lot more patience with countries that actually have lions constantly on the doorsteps.
With people that have a lot more to lose.
Well, I would say places that's more exposed to lions, people, they have a lot higher tolerance to lions being present. That's what we've noticed all over or not noticed, it is what we've seen. Whether it's in South Africa, if a lion breaks out, if you don't react within 3 or 4 days,
dead.
Very, well, not dead. Well, most of the times, it's very quick. So our tolerance levels, you know, I'm talking about ours, but communities as well, is very short.
So I think one of our guests is this evening is Brendan Whittington Jones. Don't know, see that? And Brendan did some research in northern KZN about in communities. It was wild dog specific, but it actually dealt with all predators and I hope I'm getting the story right, Brendan, if you're there. And it dealt with perceptions of what was actually predating on livestock and the reality. And there were perceptions that certain species were like wild dogs and lions were major predators, because there are free-ranging lions in northern KZN, or they get out the parks and they run around and do stuff. But the biggest culprit was actually feral domestic dogs.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't like that. I mean, we've had how do you put it? A lion ranger unit. They send us photos of lion tracks. A lot of times we're like, listen, guys, that's a that's a leopard, or that's hyena, you know. So it's very interesting to see the perception of what's causing it. Yeah. So it's all the people's mindsets.
All right. So
Yeah, I see we're open for Q&A.
We're getting to the end. So I'm going to ask you one last question. Okay. Where to now for lions in South Africa? And then what we'll do is we'll open the floor for people to ask you some questions.
Oh, where to now for lions in South Africa? I'm only going to speak for the free roaming ones, because there's every second property is a private property.
There's lots of sort of, I'm going to call them pornographic lion zoos out there, but they're a different thing.
No, for sure. So that's what I'm saying. That's a complete different ball game. You can't put that into. Look, free roaming lions is one of the most magnificent things you'll ever see. But we still need to address various situations. So we are literally supporting sandparks with whatever they need from us regarding the lion conservation in the Northern Kruger, though. From the Olifants River south, we are definitely. Not definitely. We are not as involved. There's a lot of other NMU is working there, with sandparks on their lines. Sandparks themselves are doing studies at the moment. But so we are trying to assist the section rangers on, with the lion populations, monitoring them, and basically telling them where they're going, what's happening. So for us, I think the next step will be to conduct more surveys.
Yes.
I know surveys is not always the way to go, as I mentioned previously. But I think at the moment, when you start seeing declines in lions, Botswana has seen some rapid declines in the Delta, in the Northern Delta as well, over the last 2 years. Namibia has had a lot of conflict in Etosha. So now we need to start doing surveys.
Yeah, it's really, it's mind-boggling that Botswana is considering opening up lion hunting again. It's very easy to get a problem animal permit in Botswana to kill a lion. With very little support. But the commercial hunting of lions is, in Botswana is a real problem. Sorry, we were supposed to have, this was supposed to be the last question, but I'm just going back to the days when I used to live in Botswana, work in Chobe National Park, and there was a lions had suffered from cataracts. Are you familiar with this?
Yes. Yeah, they can. Yeah.
And the cataracts were thought to be a consequence of too few male lions, of a very small gene pool, even though there were probably 500 lions in the Savuti, Lanyanti area, that they were being serviced by only 20 males or 10 males, and it was thought that this issue with lion cataracts, which actually stops them from hunting properly, was as a consequence of this. And the trophy hunters always want the males, big ones, the nice ones. So it's a thing. It's a whole other story. Anyway, I think
look, that's a story I can definitely get involved in a healthy debate. However, regarding the representation at the moment, it's my own opinion that I've seen in Botswana. So regarding the hunting of lions and the concession. So I think that's a big topic.
You can say whatever
we've got enough time.
You can say whatever you like, because nobody in Botswana pays your salary.
No, look. I think if we want to go into this, we're going to need a lot more time.
All right,
I worked in Botswana for 6 years as well. So
let's do a time out.
Maybe if the guys want to email me and ask me, I can give them an email and see. One of my good colleagues was, I'm not sure if he's still online, but he was online earlier. The complexities regarding that, hunting of lions and not of lions, goes way deeper, in my honest opinion, than just it's a very emotional thing for a lot of people, but one has to look at the realities at sometimes. Yeah. I don't want to get involved in that right now.
I can see you feeling sheepish. There was this quote.
No.
There was this quote over here on this piece of paper that you gave me, which says, "Imagine a world without the African lion, a world where the iconic roar no longer echoes through the night, and the bush holds no fear because the king is gone. If that day comes, we will have failed in our duty to protect wildlife, a gift, not a burden. Lions have inspired countless quotes, songs, and poems. Armies have drawn strength from their fierceness, for even an army of sheep can be led by a lion." Even an army of sheep led by a lion is feared more than an army of lions led by a sheep. So
yeah. It's a good ending to the segue. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, Marnus would like to answer some questions. If you have some questions for him, please.
I don't know if there is questions.
I'm surprised.
No. I don't. There's no questions from Maria at the moment.
Ah.
Yeah, which means we've covered most of it. I see Nonku Deleku is raising a hand. I'm not sure if Nonku is able to speak with a mic, or does she have
just
to
type?
If you have to type in a question, yeah. Okay, we've got I just want to open up the chat here. So the collars fitted on the lions, are they solar powered or do they work on battery pack? What is the lifespan of a collar? That's a very good question. Thank you, Nonku. So there are lion collars that has solar panels, but again, it's very tricky. Lions normally sleep during the day in the shade, and also male lions have got a lot of mane, so that's not possible for them to even get a battery charged. So we normally use what do you call this? The large battery. I forgot the lithium battery. Sorry,
lithium battery, right?
Yeah, lithium battery. Sorry, my mind's also. It's already 8 o'clock. Normally, I'm either sleeping or watching TV. Yeah.
I
So
thought you were watching lions at 8 o'clock.
No. That's during the daytime. So these batteries, depending on how many fixtures you download a day, they normally last about 14 to 16 months. If it's on every, let's say, 3-4 hours. So once you start taking more frequencies or frequent waypoints, it actually decreases a lot faster. Yeah. And it's something that everybody's still working on. Everybody is trying to figure out a way how to make it more cost efficient. And also your data is quite efficient. Yeah, sorry, your transmission fees with satellites is very expensive.
I mean that's one of the huge things actually is trying to figure out how to make these collars work for a very long time, but also make them reasonably priced.
Yeah. I see we've got a question about, do collars ever snag on anything? Mm-hmm. Sorry?
From Jenny, I saw.
Yeah.
My friend Jenny.
So do they snag on anything? To be honest, we've not really seen that. So if they do, we normally get alerts very quickly. What we have noticed is the collars is not influencing the snaring whatsoever. So if a lion is going into a snare, the collar is not going to prevent it from breaking free at all. So that's quite a sad thing.
So do you know those collars, those snare collars they use for wild dogs? They were developed in Zimbabwe. They look like punk rockers collars with studs on them. I don't know how well they work. But I mean, a lion would need an impressive lot of studs.
Yeah, they would definitely need that. But I would again go back to saying, if you know the hotspot zones, it's crucial to have people on the ground to go and sweep the areas on a weekly basis. Yes. You know, even the on-air rangers that they are dying sometimes for practical work. you know, the onion ranges of Kruger National Park or sandparks. I mean, these people are hardworking, dedicated folks that would love to go into areas and just look for snares. You know, I think snare sweeps is very important. It's actually more important than designing a collar that potentially could save a lion.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
yeah, from a snare. Yeah.
So I had somebody come and visit me at my winery 6 months ago. There's actually a connection from the Endangered Wildlife Trust, and he's a guy that has a company that manufactures drones, and he was building a drone that has got a very high resolution radar that can pick up small items, and it's extremely slow flying. I don't know what the minimum speed that a drone can fly at, but it flies at a very, very slow speed. And this radar, which is actually built in South Africa, it's built by Denel, will pick up really, really small items. And the idea is that it would fly in a high danger zone, find the snare in the bush, and then send a GPS coordinate back to somebody that can physically then go and pick it up.
Yeah. So look, there's actually quite a few companies. There was a guy staying next door to where I live. He came from the UK, and the company that he's working with, they have advanced drone usage at the moment as well. They can pick up metal very quickly with a drone, especially at nighttime.
Yes.
Ourselves, EWT, without giving away too much information yet, but we are in the final stages of doing superb work.
I think you've been doing superb work for a very long time. You're in the final stages of more superb work.
Yeah. I'm talking especially technology development.
I think we might be talking maybe about the same thing. I don't know.
I would say, just from I would probably be biased and say even better.
Cool.
Yeah. So it'll be made public. I hope soon, but yes. I'm not going to say the guys even who's working on it, but there's some very intelligent people in EWT. They're very intelligent people. So that's going to really revolutionize the entire snaring poaching. Yeah.
So the Endangered Wildlife Trust is an absolutely global class organization. It's a wonderful organization.
Yeah.
And we are so honored to be a part of the organization that works for you.
No, we are honored to have you guys supporting us 100%. It's always a privilege. Even it's like just to have a chat about everything from, you know, the projects and what's out there. It's always nice to meet up with a lot of people with, you know, conservation hearted. It's always nice. But as you say, you know, we've been going for over 50 years and still going strong. Yeah, which is great.
From strength to strength. Does anybody else want to ask a question? If not,
looking at the WhatsApp group,
you can all go and eat your dinner and go to bed.
I see Maria saying about the promo code.
Oh, okay. I can't see that on my screen, so
it's on the WhatsApp group.
Okay. All right. Well, Marnus, I'd like to say a very good evening to you, and thank you so much for your time. This has been really a very fun and very enlightening and sort of open conversation that touched on lots of things. And with so many conservation things, they're not linear. They're not just one thing. They are they cover all kinds of different facets of life, and we touched on lots of things. So thank you very much for your time and for a really lovely evening, and I hope to see you up in Hoedspruit. I hope to see you in a slightly less fraught situation than you were the last time I saw you.
No, for sure, for sure. Thank you so much for that. I see Lynn's asked a question. I'm not sure if you've seen that about the missed webinar. Is it possible to send a recording? I just wanted to make sure that's all picked up. Sorry, apologies for that. I'm still learning how to use this this platform.
Yes. So Maria is looking after our the recording and curating all these conversations, and everything is being posted on the Painted Wolf Facebook page and on our website, and not on the Facebook page, on our website, and is available for people to listen to. So there are several of these webinars with the various different guests that we've had over the year that you can download and you can listen to as a podcast, and as you wherever you're going on your Christmas holiday, you can stick it on and listen to it in the car as you drive to wherever you're going to. Highly recommended, I think. But
Not being biased.
not at all, not at all. I mean, I have such wonderful guests. I mean, it's I mean, what isn't there to love about it? So
exactly.
Anyway,
no,
thank you.
I appreciate the time very much from you guys as well, and thank you very much for watching. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to email me.
Yeah, super. Thank you so much, folks. Have a good evening. Thank you, Marnus, and thank you to Maria for her help in the background. Have a lovely evening. Cheers, folks. Night,
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.